What was one of your favorite clubs to get out of your golf bag is now something you dread to get out the bag off the first tee. And in moments of weakness, we almost feel a brand new club fitted driver is the only possible answer. But humour me, because I've got 5 very simple, affordable adjustments you can make to your current driver that hopefully make you fall back in love with it again. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. Simon here, SAS Golf Academy, where I do all my teaching and online tuition, as well as second-hand club fitting. But let's start with what a wonderful game this is. We're supposed to enjoy this sport, believe it or not. And what would have been a club in your bag, whether it's 2 years old, 5 years old, even 10 years old, for whatever reason, 1 week ago, 1 month ago, even 1 year ago, if you've been sticking it out that long, it used to work beautifully. You used to be confident with it. You used to find the middle of the face, and depending on your shot shape, it found the fairway the majority of the time, and the bad shot wasn't a complete card wrecker. And if you've watched this channel enough, you'll know how much I love second-hand equipment, how good equipment still is, even if it's 5, 6 years old in terms of performance. Not to mention, you've seen it work in your hands. So what has changed? That's the big answer. And typically we want to go down a club fit route to fit the new driver to you again. However, today's video, I want to keep it simple. This is almost an MOT for you guys to make sure, is this driver definitely not right for me anymore? But more often than not, just a few simple tweaks, a few simple adjustments to get your driver just working well how it used to do. Now, this adjustment you can't take on the course, but I guarantee you it's going to be the quickest, cheapest fix you've ever had in your life. And the reason this gets neglected so much is that realistically, this is the only club that has such a drastic difference depending on where you hit the face. And in terms of shot shaping, we always refer to swing path and club face. And don't get me wrong, they're still incredibly important. But let me just hit 2 shots now that are the same swing path. Let's say still go towards the target, so face is very much at the target, but 2 completely different shot shapes purely on where I hit it out the face. So that was very much out the hill, this 0211 PXG driver, which you can pick up for about 140 pounds. Still doing quite well, I must say. And let me show you why this is so important. As I've got an in-to-out path, I typically always draw the ball, and you might have a neutral path as well, but you keep seeing this slice. You keep seeing a 32-yard miss to the right-hand side, and for the life of you, you have no idea why. And as much as you try to, let's say, come more on the inside to get more of a draw, all of a sudden you start topping it. It starts blocking to the right. Again, especially when you're starting this game, or maybe you're not even thinking about it, a lot of us don't realize what part of the driver we're actually hitting. And even with my lessons, when I've asked them to hit it out the toe, 8 times out of 10, it's amazing what it does to their plane. Because they're thinking, hang on a minute, I can't hit it out the heel anymore. I've got to hit it more out the toe. I see tons more rotation. I see a lot more clearing of the hips. Right, same swing, out the toe. This is a disaster for my swing, by the way. Whoa, that was toe strike. And even me trying to hit out the toe, I think I've tried to come a bit more on the inside. But there's only 2 degrees club path difference there. And I'd like to think my face was pretty much at the target anyway. But look at the stark contrast of those strikes, and therefore the stark contrast in my shot shapes. There's 3 reasons why I like starting with this. Number 1, before you make any other adjustments to your driver, this is so important, and you can see how much of a difference that does to our ball flight. Number 2, if you're thinking about a brand new driver and a brand new club fit, I'd at least hope that you can hit different parts of your face, not just go, oh, I'm just going to hit my driver. What does a slight heel shot feel like? What does a slight toe shot feel like? What does out the center feel like? And once you've got that awareness and dexterity, by all means, go for that club fit. Number 3 is actually, these are quite simple changes, and you might have been out the middle, but due to flexibility or work or injury or whatever it might be, all of a sudden our nice swing that might produce a nice little fade has drifted over here somewhere, and that could be the difference between you loving your driver or absolutely despising it. Number 2, adjusting your driver. And if you've got an old driver that doesn't adjust, that's fine. I've got other tips in a minute that might help close it as well. But I know you're swinging the same because you haven't changed anything, but now you're finding the middle of the face more. At least you've got proof you're hitting out the middle of the face. Maybe you're going for toe hook slingers, and if that's working for you, hey, look, I don't blame you. But for some of you, you might still be carving it out to the right-hand side, or actually you're hitting out the middle, but you're hooking it a touch. And these adjustments can be for stopping the left or stopping the right. When we loft up a driver, it closes the face. And a lot of people don't necessarily know that, and this might be an issue. You might have got your driver, your 10.5, and you've gone, oh, I'm driving it well at the moment. Maybe I should get a bit more distance. So I loft it down. And when you're lofting something down, especially these drivers, and it depends on manufacturers, when you're lofting it down to, let's say, its lowest setting, you could be opening that face. So I've just turned this down to 7.5 degrees loft now. You could be opening that face in relation to the target by almost 4 degrees. Again, each manufacturer is different. I think this one's probably more about 3. But as I rest this driver now on the ground, you can see how much more open that sits. Let me quickly swap it over. So I'm now going to loft this all the way up to 10.5 degrees. And now we're sitting with it very much more closed than it was a minute ago. But use this knowledge to your advantage. If you've got it at 10.5 at the moment, you've got a 10.5 degree driver, keeps leaking out to the right, you're now hitting it more out the middle than you used to, well then loft the driver up. Not only will it close the face, but lofting up a club adds backspin. And the reason that is important when we're hitting our driver is the sense of the ball has an axis it rotates around. Therefore, if you've got quite low backspin, as I have there, any side spin you impart is going to take more effect to that spin axis. As you can see there, quite a lot of curvature. Now imagine I'm trying to get that same amount of curvature, which was pretty straight in a driver standard, but now with a pitching wedge, which has got a lot more loft. I'm going to have to do a lot into out to get anywhere near the same kind of curvature because my backspin is that much higher. Look how much more side spin we got there, but a relatively similar curvature pattern. Why? Because that's actually quite a similar ratio to what I just had with my driver. 1600 versus 500, 2000 versus 5500. Therefore, we got a similar amount of curvature. Again, a short time ago, we knew this driver worked for you. So these small adjustments are there to cater your confidence and realistically, just getting you swinging freely again, which will make the biggest difference to your game. Number 3 is a drastic one. And once you make this change, you can't undo it. Therefore, let's make sure this is a good decision and not just a rational one. This adjustment is more down to control and also where you're trying to strike it out the face. A lot of you watching this video will have a favorite club in the bag. You'll have a 5-wood, a rescue, a driving iron, a 4-iron, and every single one of those have a thing in common. They're shorter than what we're holding here. There's 2 things a shorter club does. Number 1, it releases more. It's easier to release. The club feels lighter, especially for a lot of you guys that leave this club massively behind you in terms of transition. And it's why typically we pull our wedges, for example, hit our 7-iron somewhat straight, and as the club gets longer, everything kind of leaks more to the right. But before you go and chop off an inch or an inch and a half off your driver, because this club did used to work for you, let's grip down the club and get used to what it feels like to have a lighter club. Let's maybe get a bit closer to the ball. Let's maybe get our elbows a bit closer together. And just like we did in number 1, let's get used to finding different parts of this face, i.e. the toe, middle, or heel. Anything that gives you the ability to control your strike location with a driver is overpowered. Again, my club path, very similar there. My angle attack, relatively similar there. But look at those 3 different ball locations. If I was fitting someone and they're hitting their driver all different places of the face, it's very difficult for me to choose a shaft. It's very difficult for me to choose a particular head. I just advise you try and gripping it down the club first, because actually once you get used to that feeling of different strike locations, actually, you might be able to grip up the club and do the same. And the longer the shaft, the more you're away from this, the more club head speed. And distance is always a good bonus in this game. Number 4, let's get a bit more extreme, shall we? You've lost all hope. You've tried hit 1, 2, and 3, and you want the face more closed or more open. And even though just adjusting your strike location can have, as I've shown, drastic effects to your ball flight, let's go one step further. Now, as you've seen, I've put the tape on the heel side of this driver, which is gonna want to close the face more. I've only put 1 layer of tape on it at the moment, and I'm gonna just try and swing it as straight as I possibly can. Oh, that was a touch heely. Maybe I need another piece of tape. Said this when I started coaching, my only job is to get you guys to enjoy the game more, even if that means somewhat of a placebo effect. And it's not an insult, it is the game. This game is so mental. At no point in your career as a golfer have you been at the driving range and you're flushing a golf club and you change swing thoughts. Never have you been flushing your 5-iron directly at the flag from 190, 180, 170 and gone, you know what I should do? I should get my phone out and look at TikTok tips to try and make this even better. What you do is not get in the way of yourself. You swing freely. You have small to little swing thoughts because all your brain is telling you, oh, this just feels great. This feels comfortable. This feels incredibly free. And I'm telling you this because it is very important to get your confidence back. And if it means putting a bit of tape, and trust me, with 2 layers there, I felt that club face close there quite considerably, does the job in the short term, I am all for it. Alternatively, if you're hooking the ball, so let's say you're hitting over here a lot, put the tape outside the toe of the club there. That will keep the face more open and obviously straighten up a few drives. We talk about grip position, different grips, how to hold the grip, wrist positions, all this kind of stuff in terms of our hands, and we don't actually talk about the one part of the club that actually attaches ourselves to it. You don't even need to spend a fortune. I'm not even say change grip size. You could if you want to, but for the sake of £10, £15, and you're wondering, why was this driver so good a year ago and then all of a sudden I can't use it? Well, it's probably because you have to strangle the thing to make sure it doesn't fly down the range 4 bays across. Having hands that are relatively soft that we can let this club go is incredibly important for finding the middle of the face. Guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Any questions, sasgolfacademy.com. Catch you guys later.